So the science says around the age of 45, muscle mass begins to decline at about 1% per year with increasing body fat mass. So in other words, the body won't get smaller because they're losing muscle. The fat will kind of increase as the muscle decreases, so they kind of stay the same size. And this is a gradual loss, and it's been tied to the lack of exercise. Not a surprise, right? So here's the picture I wanted you to see. On the left, what this is if you take a thigh bone and you slice through it this way and you look down. So that bone that you see, it kind of looks like a ham steak, right? That bone that you see is the femur, it's the thigh bone. And that is the muscle mass, okay? So you've got your quadriceps. You can even see where the green lines are. That shows the separation between the quads. You've got 4 muscles in the front of the thigh. And then the back is the hamstrings, okay? So that is a healthy muscle mass. You see the bone, you see very little fat around the circumference of the muscle, and just a tiny little bit of fat in between some of those hamstrings, okay? Now look at the right. That is sarcopenia. Notice how much fat tissue there is around the muscles and in the muscles, and much less muscle mass. So that's a thigh that is weak. That's a thigh that struggles to go up and down stairs. That's a thigh that struggles to get out of a chair without pushing with the arms or needing help. That's a thigh that struggles to get out of a car. Okay? So we don't want that to happen. But you notice that picture on the right, it's the same circumference. It's the same size as the picture on the left. So these people don't realize that they're losing muscle as they age because they're not doing anything to maintain their muscle mass. That's why they're losing it. When you don't use your muscles, they weaken and they atrophy, they shrink. So here's a study involving a group of volunteers who have chronic kidney disease who consumed a low protein diet. And remember when we talked about protein and all those things, if you have chronic kidney disease, your kidneys are really struggling with that nitrogen. Remember, protein has nitrogen. Well, even plant proteins have nitrogen. And so you want to get as little protein as possible if you've got chronic kidney disease, okay? So what they did was half of them engaged in resistance training and half of them as a control group. Now, this isn't because they were consuming low protein that they lost muscle mass, okay? This is because they weren't doing anything, all right? And so here's what happened. Those who were strength training, they exercised 45 minutes, and that included a warm-up and a cool-down. So they were probably exercising for maybe 35 minutes or so, and they only did it 3 times a week. They did it for 12 weeks. Their muscle fiber increased by almost 1/3 and their muscle strength by almost 1/3. And those who did not exercise lost about 3% of their body weight, or about 9 pounds. Those who exercised also reduced blood levels of those 2 inflammatory markers, resulting in better nutrition and functional capacity. So it's so important, you know, those people with that chronic kidney disease, they tend to get very frail. They tend to lose weight. Do you know why? They're losing muscle mass. Muscle is denser and heavier than body fat. Remember that picture in one of the other classes? 5 pounds of muscle was this big, 5 pounds of fat was this big. Muscle's denser, it weighs more. So when you start exercising and building muscle, you might notice that the scale's not going down. It might even go up a little bit because you've gained muscle mass, all right? So that's what's happening here. These people are losing muscle. Not a good thing. And it's not because of the low protein diet. It's because of the disease process. They're not moving. They're not doing what they need to be doing to maintain healthy muscle mass, as you saw, because the same low protein diet for both groups, right? But the group that exercised increased their muscle fiber, increased their muscle strength, the same low protein diet.